Hey, sweetheart, how are you?
Hi, good. Hey, I wanted to wish everybody a post happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a chance to get together with your mother or grandmother or just somebody very special in your life.
Well, and it's interesting because the guy you've spent the week researching, Jonah, he had a mother as well.
Today, we're going to just really talk about Jonah, and one of the greatest revivals in history happened through this very reluctant, very disobedient prophet, somebody that God used in spite of himself. He didn't like the people. He didn't like the message. He loved the Lord, but he ran away from him. And so we're going to expound upon that in Jonah. And later in the week, we're going to bring up Nahum as a kind of like a bookend to Jonah.
An addendum.
An addendum, yes, but we're going to start in Jonah, and everybody's really familiar with this tale, this scripture, and some
So
people would.
is it a fish tale, or did this actually happen?
Well, some people would call it a fish tale, and some people would even say that Gulliver's Travels and some other literary books kind of took their cue from Jonah, but it was an actual person, and it was an actual time in history. So you've got a man, Jonah, and his father named Amittai in Second Kings, which is actually called one of the historical books, and then you've got Jonah mentioned, of course, in his book. They think that he probably came from the northern kingdom. The Assyrians were definitely the enemy of the Jewish people in the northern kingdom. The Assyrians were the people, the ruling people of the time.
And Nineveh is the capital of Assyria.
Exactly. And then they would take the women and they would keep them, and then they would kill off the men and the children so that they would conquer them. There were reports of them skinning people alive. Through those kinds of tactics, they were very good at finding out the information that they would need to attack their enemies. They attacked the northern kingdom several times, and so Jonah had a deep-seated, probably well-founded hatred for this people that God says in Jonah 1.
It says, the word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. Like, in a way, it sounds like this should be good news, because he's saying, go preach against them, like they're in trouble. But apparently Jonah knew that wasn't necessarily bad news for them.
Yes, he knew enough about God and his character that God actually was for the Gentiles, that he was for the people that he would be sending a message to, and he didn't want him to save these people. You and I think of prophets as probably really obedient, wonderful. Now we're finding out that they are just like you and me.
He's a human.
And that maybe he was even.
She's got legs. She's human.
And maybe he's even fearful of what would happen if he went to Nineveh, because going to that large of a city, that a place of your enemy, why would you want to even walk in the streets of that place?
It would be like a concentration camp victims being told, go to Berlin and preach against that city, or a Ukrainian being told, go to Moscow and preach against that city.
Exactly. God, he has an idea of the entire history. He knows what's going to happen, and his heart went out for this people that had not heard of him. We don't normally see, up until this point in the Old Testament, that God sending a prophet to another people.
So Jonah's like a missionary. He's being sent out from his country.
He's one of the first missionaries that we see. The thing about Jonah is, of course, he knew these people and he didn't want to go. So what did he do?
He spent a lot of money on his missions ticket.
Yes. Well, he instead of going, Nineveh is about 500 miles inland to the east, and where he was hoping to go, which was Tarshish, and it was different continent. It was 2,500 miles.
He's going from Asia to the most western part of Europe.
Yeah, and so he gets in the boat, and he goes to sleep right away because he's like, I've ended this. This is what I'm doing. I feel comfortable in my disobedience.
I'll show God. I'm on a cruise, and exactly. I'm hiding under the deck, and God, good luck finding me.
He goes down into his quarters. He goes to sleep, and God brings a big storm. It says he brought the wind, and he brought a storm, and then these sailors that are on this boat, they are, they're not wet behind the ears. They know what they're doing, and they
are wet behind the ears because they're rowing.
Exactly. Well, yes, that's true. They might be wet on their face too. And these are hardy men. They know the sea, and they know that this storm is not a typical storm. Now, Jonah, interesting enough here, is that he says he knows his God, and so he says, "Okay, it's my fault, so throw me into the sea."
Does Jonah have a death wish in this book?
I think so.
It seems like he does.
I think he'd rather. Well, these good people say they start crying out to the Lord, and they say, "Please don't judge us for doing this thing."
Or throwing a guy overboard.
Yes, but what happens here is a beautiful thing. They took Jonah and they threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. At this, the men greatly feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. A little tiny revival, even based on this extremely disobedient prophet. God is true to his word, and he's going to fulfill it.
Jonah's message is, yeah, it's my fault, throw me overboard, and they get saved.
Right. And